Morning. I hope you've had a day like I've had, the morning already. I was sort of out nearly in the trees this morning and watched the dawn come up. Now I transfer from one heaven to another, and that's here. One paradise to another. That's how I feel when I'm with you guys. Woody, Sam, thank you. And you brought the lady today. It's so good well, I've met you before. You've been here once before. But it's good to have you back, all three of you. And thank you, the Unity or Harmony Singers. Yeah, I get that right. Where am I? Well, I have a joke for you today. Do you know, in every church up until this church, I've had somebody that would keep me supplied in jokes. Well, I finally found the person. Irish, hold up your hand, would you? So everybody will know who you are. So it seems as though that in religion, people just sort of keep separated from denomination to denomination. It seems as though the Catholic Church never really recognized the Anglican Church. And the Anglican Church never really recognized the Episcopal Church. The Episcopal Church never really recognized the Methodist Church. And two Baptists in a liquor store never recognized each other. Thank you, Southern Baptist, for paying my way through school. My favorite subject, by the way, and every subject that I do up here is sort of a subtopic or subtitle to what really that I'm the most interested in. And this is that living life at its fullest and really, really prospering in every little area of life, whether it's a relationship or health or whatever. I feel like that there is abundance out there for us. It's like whatever it is that you feel like is a need in your life, it's out there someplace with your name on it. And what the deal is finding this connection. All right, let's talk about that a little bit because it's very interesting to me. For example, has anybody ever been to an AA meeting? I have. I've gone with friends before that were going to get another, I can't think what it's called, not medals. Yeah. Yes, there you go. Okay.
They're anonymous.
But anyway, there's something in this little thing that they do, and it says, there is a power greater than myself. Now, how interesting. Okay. Here's the thing that I want to ask about that. And let's ask this of ourselves. Exactly where is that power? Because a lot of us in traditional, we think of heaven as something remote, and God, whoever this might be, is there in heaven waiting for us after we die. Now, I know that I grew up hearing this, and I remember my mother talking about the crown that would wait for us when we got there. And then as life sort of moved along, I discovered that really all of God's good is available right now, all the time, everywhere, available to every living being. This is it. And I never really realized that before. So really, what the thing might be is just making connections with that. There is a scripture that I'm going to read in a minute. It's Mark 11, and the 22nd verse to about the 24th. I'm not going to read all of that, but it starts out. I'm going to talk about how it starts out first. I'll get to the rest of it later. But it starts out, have faith in God. And then what it connects to is having prayers and our desires fulfilled. That everything we ask for. Okay. But to have faith in God, I decided to look in another version of the Bible. The Message, which is sort of the latest thing, but it has some very unusual interpretation of passages. Because here's what it said. Instead of have faith in God, it's embrace the God life. There's a little difference. Probably, it means the same thing. Sometimes we get caught up over a word, and people interpret things so differently, I've discovered. It's just like people who take a vow of poverty or celibacy. It reminds me of the two monks, though, that were reading over these ancient texts, and finally one of them said, that word, I believe that word is celebrate. But embrace the God life. You know what this struck me? When I read that, I said, this is really what my intent is to embrace it as a way of life as opposed to just an incident where we have a spiritual experience. But it's where all of these things that are part of our belief becomes a lifestyle. It becomes who we really are. And then all of the things that used to feel like miracles happening as we went along are just part of the God plan because we're involved in the God life. Now, the question that I had is a power greater than ourselves. Where is this? Where do you think this power is? Does anybody have a suggestion? That's right. Jesus said, the kingdom is within you. The kingdom of God is within you. Everything that is God is also within you and within your space. It's that ever-presence everywhere. I talked about watching the dawn this morning, and up in an upper deck, I'm nearly now, if I had longer arms, I could reach the trees that are sort of reaching in for me in a couple of different places. And I feel God in every leaf. I feel God in the breeze that I was enjoying this morning really, really early. It felt so good. And everything it seems like that we really desire is already there for us. It's just that it's in the invisible form, but everything we would ever desire in life is available. So if we haven't made that connection, maybe it's because we're not embracing the God life. Because it is in the God life, the spiritual life, and so many people, that it was just being good or being holy. That's really, I believe Spirit supports us wherever we are. There are consequences when we get off track. But that's just the way the world, the universe is put together with consequences, good and bad. And it seems as though Spirit is indifferent to whether good or bad, whatever our beliefs are, as a matter of fact, Spirit supports us in that belief. Even if it doesn't matter whether it's to our good or to our bad. In other words, if you right now decide, I want to be absolutely dirt poor for the rest of my life, I'll guarantee you Spirit will find you a way to do it. That's right. There'll be a way. I don't know what it is, but there'll be a way. But success now, gosh, I read so many versions. There's the Earl Nightingale version of success. It's just like everybody that wrote a book about prosperity has a version. I'm going to read a few of them to you and see if you find yourself in here any place. Success in life could be defined as the continuing expansion of happiness and the progressive realization of worthy goals. That sounds like Earl Nightingale. It is, in fact. Okay. Success is the abundant flow of all good things to you, which includes good health, energy, enthusiasm for life, fulfilling relationships, creative freedom, and all the money you can spend or give away. I like that one. Success is the ability to fulfill your desires with effortless ease. I'm testing that right now in my life. I'm trying to go easier, and I'm saying, God, it's just as easy with just putting in half time to do the same amount of income. There's got to be a way. If you believe it, if I believe in it, then it's got to work for me. Well, you can next year I'll have a message again maybe, and we'll see how it worked out. But the power that is greater than ourselves is actually another dimension of ourselves, because that which we call our soul, that invisible part of ourselves, is a part and one with all that is, without exception. There is a unity. This is why that a song that was done last week, I don't know whether you remember this line from it, but it's called, when I pass that person on the street, can I see myself in that person? And then it got in, if you remember, Tom was doing this one, the visitor. And he got into it a little deeper in talking about war and the soldier out there on the other side that you're about to kill. Can I see myself in that person? So there is a unity. So then that anything that goes for success had better be win-win. One of my things that I've written down that is so important to me, because it's like a necessity for what I want to do and who I want to be. But it's to bring harm to no one. No one. Because for me to have more, no one out there has to have less. Whatever it is. Whatever it is, doesn't matter. Because we are actually all connected. We are all actually one. And it's just like when I talk about that divinity being within us, to say, and I remember this from a movie, Shirley MacLaine, saying, I am God. This is like a wave in the ocean who has all the attributes of the whole ocean saying, I am the ocean. You see? We are a part of everything that is. This is why where the word unity comes up from, is that we are an absolute part of everything that exists. Now then, in this relationship that I'm talking about, where that we are involved in the God life, we're embracing it as the life that belongs to us, and it does. But we're not required to embrace it. But there's where good starts. There's where we make improvements in our behavior. This is where we make improvements in what we are enjoying out of life, whether it's health or relationships. It's so important that we figure out how to do relationships. One of the things that came to me one day is that in a relationship, if you begin to treat the person you love as the person of your dreams, it evolves to the truth. How it happens, I don't know, but I know from experience that it happens. That if you begin to treat people in a certain way, there is a type of prosperity drawn to you that you would not ever have. It's because it's another element in saying that money isn't everything, except for when the bills come due. And then it's, then it's everything, nearly everything. But a beginning point now in all of this is to be able to experience acceptance. I'm talking about partially acceptance of other people. But if you don't get anything else today, think about this. At least think about this. It is so important to accept the present moment like it is, to accept it totally, to rejoice in it. It may not be where you want to be next, but to reject it. A philosopher, an Eastern philosopher, once said that if you are unable to accept the present moment and that you're struggling against what is happening now, the truth is you're struggling against the whole universe. The present moment is so precious, whatever. And let me tell you why it is. We may not want to take credit because if there's tough circumstances, we may not want to face that. But whatever the present moment is, it is our creation. We've created it. So don't struggle against it. You might make an affirmation to go to another level of life, to get life from point A to point B, and that's another thing. But you start out, and it's so important to do this, to see all of the good that is in the present moment, all of those good things, because God is in that present moment. Whatever you've created, Spirit supports that. If it feels harmful, I understand that. But don't struggle against it. Feel the acceptance, not only of other people and the people in your life, because, see, that's part of our creation too. Whoever is there showing up in our life. I know I have a person that a lady that I know that has gone from job to job in the past number of years, and always, and she's outstanding as far as her ability, but in all three, I remember 3 consecutive jobs over a period of 12 years to where there would be a lady over her that seemed to be a nemesis to her well-being. And that same lady then would appear, and it's as though in another body, but the same person having the same experience. And I don't know how that happens, but it really does. But we have to realize that to eliminate it, we eliminate something, not them, moving about. That person will always be there in another form. But it's so wonderful when we reach a point to accept that too is part of, doesn't mean we have to stay and put up with them forever, but if when we change our way of seeing them, and like the song said last week, I believe I see myself in that person. Do you see the difference that makes? All right. Now, when we do this, when we accept the present moment, the thing that we do that is so important, that is our next step, is this, is the realization that whatever we have in life, Spirit or God or whatever you would like to say, didn't will that upon us. Once again, whatever we're experiencing in life is part of our own creation. Actually, each one of us at some level of consciousness decides what we're worth. Whether we're acceptable as a partner in a relationship, whether we're good parents, whether we're good children, whatever it is, whether we're a great employee, whether we're worth quite a bit more money. Do you think Spirit decides that? Spirit does, Spirit within us, but it is part of our own consciousness. We are that creator of that particular thing. And so what that means is, now see, if we were just victims of circumstances, how could we change anything? But with acceptance, and with this attitude of we are determining what we're worth, with all these attitudes, we have a chance to recreate what's happening in our life. We may not want to. I just want to keep the train going. I'm having the time of my life. I could do with less stuff, but it keeps rolling in. Once you open that door, and once you get into this embracing the God life, and it's like not trying to be holy. I don't go around trying to be holy, but I'm happy with what I'm experiencing because I've learned these things that I'm trying to talk about this morning that changed everything. Relationship, jobs, the way you're treated on the street and everywhere you go. Okay, now then, keep this in mind. The greater power now supports what we believe and what our effort is, but we still have to show up. Now, Spirit works out the details, but I have to show up. Also, I'm like the rudder on this whole ship. I have to decide the direction. But the thing I have learned is that once you get the direction and your affirmation of where you want to be, try to be a little detached. I know I told you this one day, but it still strikes me. One of my favorite people that I've ever met was my ex-wife's attorney when we got a divorce. He was wonderful. He taught me more about detachment than I had ever. I never thought I would learn that much about detachment. You think I may be teasing? I'm not. He was wonderful. I knew him from high school. He was 5'2" and made the all-star basketball team. I'm a state honorable mention. So I'm talking about a real person. It's no joke. But the thing we do is put the energy in to go in a direction, and then yet we leave this sense of detachment, like there could be a better way. Let me tell you what happened to me last week. We're trying to buy carpet. So we go over to the Home Depot in White Settlement. And we found carpet, and it looked good. We were happy with it. And it was like $1.67 a square foot. Okay? But the problem turned out to be we couldn't get anybody to wait on us. We waited. Pat called the front to see if they could send somebody back. We waited. And we're just sitting there. We were watching a lady, but she was into some international problem or something or other. I don't know. But she didn't even look up at us. And I told Pat, I said, well, let's go home and we'll come back tomorrow and find somebody that'll sell us this carpet. Well, the next morning I said, we've got a little extra time here. Let's go buy this other one and see what they've got. They may have the same thing. We got there, and it was 1/3, like 55 cents, less than 1/3 of the price of the other, but it was better. It was better. And it matched the colors we had. Everything was just amazing. And so I keep thinking, this is how Spirit works. We may know where we're going. In other words, I knew in the beginning that this had to be finished. And I've bought another house, and it's got to be finished. It's got to be fixed to where it'll sell again. All right? But the idea being, though I've set those goals, Spirit's got to work out the details. And Spirit is available. If we would like to try it on our own, it's okay too. Or if we would like to engage all of the invisible forces behind us that God has given us, that'll work too. I like it a lot better somehow or other. I've tried my way. I don't want to talk about that. But we keep moving. We keep moving and create the energy, moving in the direction of our desires, but yet with a sense of detachment. This is important to remember. Now, back to the scripture that I started out with. After saying, embracing the God life, here's what it says. And I like the way this is worded. This is from Mark 11:24. Whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours. Now, it's all started out, embrace the God life. In other words, that seems to be a condition of what's happening, is embracing this, making spiritual life a lifestyle, not just an incident here and an incident there. But you wake up and go to bed, and it's all part of who you are. Because it was already, even if we were ignoring during the years that I was striving as hard as I could to become an alcoholic, God was still there. Thank God it was a failure. It's all right to fail at some things. But the availability is there for us. And we have to remember that all things, and it states it so beautifully there, in that it's already there. It's acknowledging that whatever you could possibly desire in your life is already there, and the thing that we do then is make that spiritual connection, and it materializes. I can't explain all of the technical how and when, but I have discovered some of the rules, and I have experienced this thing I'm talking about. So, then, for all of us who may not like the job we're on or may not have a job, I think nearly everybody does. I mean, this is a group that is just nearly 100%. But nothing is ever actually 100%. But I'm going to tell you something that we have to remember. There is something in every human being that is unique. It's like a creative talent. You may not have cultivated it much. You may not have worked on that, but I'm going to guarantee that there is something within you so special, absolutely unique to who you are, or you wouldn't be here. In other words, there is a uniqueness and a creative uniqueness to every being. And I will promise you, it's in you. And in the world of supply and demand, somebody out there needs you. Somebody really, really needs who you are. You may not be connecting just right, but think about it. Give thought to it. That is there. And they're desperate. I'll guarantee you, if you can find the right one, they're desperate for who you are and what you can do and what you know. And I found that to be true. And the times I've said it in here, then I have somebody call me once from Kansas City and say, look, I found that desperate person, and I have a wonderful job now. And it just keeps happening over and over. Linda, I like your story. We talked about prosperity for nearly a year, and here's the lady. Can I tell you your age? 76? Now I'll ask you. Well, you can be mad at me and forgive me later. But let me tell you, she found the right and perfect place. This is after a daughter dying, a son dying, her husband dying, all of these things, and then the job she had just faded away because the person she was helping tend to, the daughter sent her, I think, to a nursing home. I may not have this exactly right, but the part that I know is right is that then she discovered what they needed in the school was someone, what do they call the person? A teacher's aide, and then a substitute teacher at times. And it's been just what you needed, wasn't it? Can I say that? I hope you don't mind me telling that story because it's my favorite story. I love you. And I love the fact that we are friends and that I see things like that working in lives, and I love it. My experience is this. I'm here, and I know Spirit supports you, but I want to tell you, in every area of happiness and success, I so support you. I support you with my prayers. Spirit is on your side, and I'm on your side too. God bless you. Thank you.